Legends, how is everybody doing? Let's go, let's go. Bitcoin breaking out here, almost scratching $100,000. What's going on? This is crazy. Oh my goodness, we broke out of that major resistance. We've been talking about this for over a week right now. I'm going to have to come on and give some explanations here, legends. Make sure to destroy the like button if you do enjoy the content. We'll be analyzing the situation, of course. Make sure to absolutely smash it up. Almost 200 people watching the stream. We're going to be talking about the price of Bitcoin, of course. And yes, I know we do have the announcement of Donald Trump. That's at 10 a.m. I think it's Eastern time in the US. Is that now, guys? You know, I live in Dubai and I'm not sure if it is going to be. Is it now? Is it 10 a.m. now Eastern time? I think it is. Anyway, supposedly there's an announcement. Will it, is there going to be a trade deal which is going to skyrocket the price of Bitcoin, or is he putting more tariffs? I don't know what the heck is going to happen here. Based on the news, based on this, guys, I've been trying to search the channel here to see if we can see that announcement live, but you can just bring me the feed into the comment section once this is happening, right? What is he saying, right? Leave it down below in the comment section. Supposedly it is now. But first of all, we're going to have to give some explanations here. Let me just double check that I'm live. You can hear me. Can you hear me, guys? Music too loud. Turn the music down. We need to give some explanations because we've been talking about this major resistance level for over a week, right? Are we repeating the previous cycle? We are getting a reaction at the golden pocket and the point of control. This in no means was, let's all massively go short here. It's a resistance level. We did get that reaction throughout the previous weekend, right? Saturday, Sunday, getting a little bit of a drop of a few $1,000s. The reaction was there. We blasted off from this level. Is this blast off sustainable? Which targets can we reach? We are just about to hit that 6-digit number, 100K, guys. We are on the verge of hitting it. Do we see exponential growth here? 101, 102. What are the levels that we need to pay attention? Is every single pullback a long opportunity? Well, we are very specific with our intraday setups, right? Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, okay? I can hear you. Okay, awesome, guys. All right, we're very specific. I know when we do a higher time frame and we talk about a resistance level, I'm going to get bashed here because a lot of people are saying, there we go, you're back bearish again. You're looking for a rollover. We knew it's a level to get a reaction, right? We try and take a look at intraday setups. Yesterday, we provided a long setup, one, and we provided a short setup. Both of the levels got a reaction. We can look at that video right away, okay? It was two levels, right? We're going to get later on into the projections, the support, the resistance, and make sure to bring me that feed down in the comment section of what the heck is this guy talking about, right? The president of the United States, Donald Trump, big announcement. It should be live right now. I didn't find the video, all right? I'm not sure if it is an open, right, press or not. But anyway, let me know what he's saying in the comment section. I'll read you through in the next couple of minutes. We are very specific, right? But I need to say, right, is it time for me to say, I was wrong, guys. I was wrong about this resistance. I was wrong about the rollover. We never talked about a rollover. We talked about the resistance, right? It's time to come live and give explanations. You said that this level was repeating the previous cycle, because I did actually get a nasty comment, guys. This is just by one nasty comment. And we got the resistance. However, we are very interested in focusing on the local time frame, right? Yesterday's video, live stream, we mentioned the different scenarios, right? We're going to zoom in ever so slightly on the 15-minute time frame and talk about the two levels, because we are interested in either longs or shorts intraday. There was only one long setup provided in the live stream yesterday, guys. Only one. And there was only one short as well. The short got a reaction, but it blasted off. But it did reject a few $100. You know which level it is, right? If you watched yesterday's stream. And we'll take, look at the different projections, Fibonacci levels of confluence to really understand where could the next high probability setup could be lying, right? That's what we try and do here on the live streams almost every single day, I have to say. There are a few days in the week that I don't go live, such as Saturday. But let's talk about the long setup from yesterday, guys, okay? Who remembers the only long setup? We need to talk about this, guys. I can't just forget what I mentioned yesterday. And yes, I have to say, we did not get resistance from, well, we did get resistance from this level. Can you guys see the chart? We need to talk about this, right? This we need to talk about because, this is a level we've been talking about for about a week, right? Since last week, we're getting resistance. We got a pullback. Could we get a bigger pullback? But what we like to analyze is the local time frame, right? Local time frame is where we have the meat and potatoes, right? Where could we long? Where could we short? Yesterday's price action. Before the funk, right? Big fat nothing burger. I didn't stream it. I just crashed into other channels such as Jason Casper, Tom Crown, right? Apparently it was big fat nothing burger. We just got a bit of volatility in this region, but this was the longing zone that we talked about on yesterday's stream. It was right over here, the only long setup to attempt and break above $98,000, right? Revisit the highs, which actually got a pretty significant breakout early this morning. But this was the only long setup, right, that was provided on the stream. We were ranging in this level. I do see a pullback down. It is crucial that we do hold, the most clearest support level that we do have to the downside, which is that 96,100 range, right? $96,000 where we had the 50% Fibonacci from this pivot low. It was the previous week, naked point of control, which was no longer naked. We got the breakout. And if we want to see this as an impulsive move to the upside, we need to hold this level. The invalidation is the golden pocket, which was, whew, it was almost scratched, guys. Okay, because we did get that dip down here. But this is what we do, right? Regardless if we are at this higher time frame major resistance, which I do get a few comments, right? They're getting bashed, right? We do a higher time frame levels of resistance and support, but we don't know what's going to happen. So that's why we dive in through the lower time frame where we can really find those golden opportunities. This was the only long setup that we saw available on the stream where we had the price action, right? If we are considering this as an impulse, the level that should hold is the $96,000, where we have the previous week naked point of control, 50% Fibonacci, stop loss at the golden pocket. And when we do analyze that price action, this was basically right over here, right? 50% Fibonacci from this pivot low. What we're using here is a little bit of Elliott wave theory power. Also looking at the previous week naked point of control. Matter of fact, that we didn't talk about yesterday, this was the previous month high. April highs basically, right? Previous month highs was sitting right over here at $95,800. That's where we got supported yesterday. Regardless, it was another level to take into consideration. April highs, guys, right over here. Regardless, the confluence was enough. The wave analysis, 1, 2, 3. We're looking at this fourth wave zigzag. 50% needs to hold. Golden pocket is your stop loss. Whew, almost scratched it there just by $100, right? And looking to target the highs, you know, giving you that 3-4 to 1 risk reward. If you maintain that long position, then of course you can scratch some more profits here at the highs. But overall, intraday setups, it is crucial to understand the local structure to realize, you know, are we bullish and do we have a chance to break above 98K regardless of the higher time frame resistance, right? Because, you know, it's pretty interesting because, you know, I was no longer in any short position, right? I did attempt a short position here and, you know, I got wicked out and we actually got the movement down. So, you know, I need to accept that scenario. You know, I attempted the short, got the movement, I was extremely defensive and I got wicked out and then we rolled down, okay? Did manage to get into this long position, closed all of the position. I did not attempt the short trade that we mentioned yesterday. Yesterday, there was only one crucial level that we talked about would be very interesting to get into a short position based on a swing failure pattern on yesterday's stream, right? It was that naked point of control. We also had a daily level. And what was interesting about this level is that the naked point of control and the daily level was exactly at the same price. So you got two major confluence points. We did get that rejection. Some of the legends got into the short, okay, very aggressively. I mean, this was 4 o'clock in the morning my time, guys. So I would have jumped into the short and would have got stopped out either at break even or at a minor loss. You know, just need to accept the setup that we mentioned yesterday. So we did react at that level. Look at this beautiful reaction. It's a sniper trade. You don't short down here, guys. If you don't get into the trade at where you need to get in, right? If it drops down $1,000, oh, we rejected, then I'll short down here and put stop loss here. This is not how you trade these setups. You need to be fast. You need to be ferocious. You need to get in as soon as you get rejected. You can't wait the price to move down a few $100s to get late into that short position. But the level reacted, right? It all depends on how fast you are on this setup. So there's two major levels to find support. One of them to find basically a trading setup, which was this one right over here, 50% Fibonacci with stop loss at the golden pocket. Only long setup that we talked about yesterday was a complete success to get back above the highs. And the short setup that we mentioned, you would say it's a failure, but you can manage risk like a beast here, right? It's a sniper trade on the rejection, stop loss at the high. If you move down, it all depends if you're very defensive or not with your stop loss at break even or at a minor loss. It really depends, you know, on your risk appetite here. But one thing is for sure, you do not short and you do not add to the position once you break that specific level that was very much talked about in detail on yesterday's stream. You get back above this level, forget about the shorts till we find some waves and some market structure that we can identify that we do see a sign of weakness, or, you know, a sign of strength that this is still looking impulsive and we're just looking for another higher low, right? So it is crucial for you guys to, you know, I know sometimes my streams are boring. I get too technical and people are just like, I can't take this dude anymore because he's just going through all of these different waves and, you know, stuff that, you know, is making me absolutely crazy and I'm getting smoke out of my ears. But, you know, whoever paid attention on yesterday's live stream, you know, there's only two levels, considering the long and considering the short. We did get the reaction on the short. This was a beautiful long. Of course, we are uptrending. The movement is impulsive. We do have a big move with high volume, right? And we got some proven levels of support here, which is that previous week naked point of control, right? All of this consolidation provides that nice, you know, high volume node. And we also had previous month highs, right? I didn't talk about this on yesterday's video, but that's actually previous month highs of April, where, you know, we got perfect support from that level. We should have added that. Sometimes we need to take that level into consideration, you know, previous month, previous week levels. So yeah, just want to update on, you know, some scenarios that we talked about yesterday, okay, on the live stream. And, you know, before I get bashed with this scenario, right? This is only a higher time frame level of resistance. This is why we like to focus on the lower time frame, guys, right? You know, how come you are talking about this massive big level of resistance from, you know, higher time frames, and you're talking about long positions, right? We still look for longs, we still look for shorts. We're just very careful, we're very selective, because intraday is only for the best, right? And we talk about one or two levels only to take a trade and what we need to see, right? If you wait for that scenario, you're going to get into a good position and you're going to have very good risk management, right? Let's keep it that way. So let's go right away through the comment section, say hello to the beautiful community, and let's just clean up here the levels and the scenarios, and let's try and identify what is the next high probability trading setup. Intraday, baby, right? Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, we're going to be discussing the levels, all right? Do we see more upside? 100K plus, $102,000. You know, the momentum is still very much to the upside. We cannot deny that, right? We've broken out from that point of control. Oh my goodness. Right? Before we get anybody, I'm going to go through the comment section, see if we get some people bashing me right now because we talked about this, right? Anybody that wants to bash me because of this resistance, which did get resistance last week, okay? We did get a pullback from the level. You know, it was getting a reaction, okay? But I don't get any thank yous, right? I don't say any, oh, great call from yesterday, right? Great call. No, people are just going to remember this, right? They're only going to remember you said about that resistance that did not get rejected. Well, it did get rejected last weekend, right? Saturday and Sunday. Oh, you know, people are just going to remember this, the higher time frame. But the ones that are doing the live streams and focusing on the intraday setups, this was the only long position, guys, and it played out really nicely. Stop loss was clear at the golden pocket. Nice reaction here as we were getting the funk, right? And then we got the movement to the upside. People will forget that and they'll say, you know, you said this, you said that, right? Resistance, which, you know, this is why we focus on intraday, and this is why we're going to focus on intraday setup scenarios that could happen. Let me know down below in the comment section right away. Don't worry, Andy, you are the best in the business. No, it's not that, you know, but I want to prove, okay, the reality here of analyzing, you know, the local trading setups and the analysis, right? Because I have to say, right? I have to say, sometimes on video updates, you know, we talk about, is history repeating? We're hitting this resistance. Could we get a larger pullback? It's definitely a possibility, right? I need to come on stream and say, guys, I'm sorry. We did not get the pullback. Hang on a second, guys, because I need to put the aircon on. Okay. Bitcoin. We're going to have to take a look at the intraday scenarios here. and analyze very carefully. First of all, let's say hello to the beautiful community as we get those people rolling in. Let's smash up that like button. Oh, only 50 likes with 500 people watching. My goodness, guys, come on, what's going on with the like button? Come on, you chicken nuggets. Make sure to destroy the like button if you do enjoy the content. If you don't, well, you can put that thumbs down, right? Oliver, my man, smash the like button. Olivia, much love to you. 𝗕𝗫cie, good morning. Dear government of the Philippines, please adopt Bitcoin before it's too late, says Axel. My man, much love to you. From the Philippines, I assume. Lamal, Lamin Yamal, over here. Oh, Lamal, it's not Yamal. World War 28, Andy late as Trump is. James Rich, this is really going to keep going up, I wonder. It seems like nothing wants to stop Bitcoin, guys, but this is the moment of extreme greed. Trump announcement, all of the different states in the US approving that Bitcoin reserve bill. My goodness, right? Arizona, Texas to follow. You know, wow, this is insane, guys. You know, billions of dollars of US dollar tether being printed with speculation that is to buy Bitcoin, buy cryptos, or even trade it. It doesn't matter. Absolutely insane. We've got the Trump announcement, guys. Anybody that knows anything about this, let me know down below in the comment section what's going on. Chatini, how are you doing? Joshua, one more dump before all-time high. Let's see, my man. We're really gonna focus on the local time frame, guys. We're going 15-minute, right? Even the 5-minute time frame. We aren't gonna be too aggressive with scalps, okay? It is a bit of a dangerous scenario. We need to be very, very good and professional to just have one trading plan for maybe today, right? You know, some weeks I make 3 trades. Other weeks I make 7 trades. You know, it all depends. It's around about a maximum of 10 trades on the week, right? I look for really, really specific trade setups, but some weeks I trade like 2-3 times. So we want to be very, 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 very selective with the levels and this trading setups, right? Because, you know, the more you trade, right, with very poor plans, the more times you're going to get stop loss. I can tell you that. You need to be very, very good with the setups. And that's what we try to do here on the live stream. So let me quickly say hello and we'll focus right away on the local trading zone, right, on Bitcoin. Andy told everyone to short. Great advice. There we go. We're getting the bash here. I didn't say anybody to short, right? You're always wrong, buddy, every day. Oh, there we go. There we go, guys. It seems like this guy here, the one, was not yesterday on the stream, right? You know, do I make this up? You know, it's recorded. It's the only long setup, right? So that's the thing, right? When we talk about higher time frame, guys, you know, I have to say, yeah, this was resistance. In no mean, and I said it clear yesterday, I'm in no short position. You know, we are hitting resistance. I want to see a proper impulsive move to the downside, right? That, you know, we did get a resistance level to get into a short scalp. You know, we did get the rejection. But it all depends on how is your trading style, right? But yeah, there we go. I guess I was wrong, right? Check yesterday's stream. It was the only long setup, right? Intraday setup. So there we go, mate. It seems like you weren't yesterday on the stream. And everybody, you know, some people will like to bash based on we are hitting a resistance. Does that mean, right? It's just, this is the same thing as we say, this is massive. This should flip into support right now. So if this is going to be support, you know, do we have to get a major bounce? No. Support can be broken. Resistance can be broken. So, my man, make sure to pay attention on every day's videos because, hey, yesterday we talked about a long setup, right? We talked about the short. It did get a reaction, but the risk management is spot on. We talked about how you need to execute this trade. And if you did, then you either had a minor stop loss or you even are defensive because the price did move down $600-700. And, you know, that all depends on how the people manage their trades. But if you got into this one, yeah, my man, you're making more money than the stop loss from the short position, right? It's all depending on how you take the content, guys, okay? So I told you guys, we got a donut here already, the one, right? We got a scallywag here already saying about you are always wrong. You told everybody to short. I didn't say everybody to do anything. I just said that we are hitting a major resistance level And this is why we focus on the local time frame for look for intraday setups. So where's the love for this? Where's the love for this? This was yesterday. Where's the love? Come on, you donut. You're not paying attention. Bear in mind, everyone, TA is basically folks throwing darts at a board. Well, yeah, I mean, this is the thing. But it's all about managing risk, right? Where's that donut here? The one. When is Andy going to learn TA doesn't work? There we go. Here we go again. Come on, you donut. Devil, my man, much love. Brings the best technical analysis. Andy also shows his trades often here on the stream. Absolutely. I mean, well, it's just, it is what it is. Where's that donut? Did somebody kick him out already? Or is he going to comment again? It seems like he wasn't here on the stream yesterday. Anyway, we're not here to battle or prove anything. You got the streams. And this is crucial, guys. Higher time frame analysis. We're talking about major level of resistance, major levels of support. And, you know, like many do not do successfully, is go to the lower time frames and talk about the intraday levels for the setup. This was yesterday. This ain't 2 weeks ago. This is yesterday. Where's the love? Where's the love for this? Anyway, yeah, get that donut out of the stream right now. Coming to hate here. He's clearly not paying attention. Anyway, ignore the haters. Man, I know. I just take it too personal, as you noticed, right? Anyway, bro, those negative comments are all emotional based. I know. They are the ones entering their own trades. You don't have a gun to their heads. Very true, my man, okay? Anyway, that's it. Much love, brother. You display possible scenarios and then assign probability. Nothing more, nothing less. Gordon, I know. I'm sorry. This is not professional, okay? When I take these, you know, 1-2 comments, very personal, I just say, hey, we never said about a short position, right? We did say about a long position here, I have to say. You know, then this also with a short trade that did get the reaction, but that all depends on how you manage your trade, right? So anyway, man, your analysis are too good. Don't lose your time on the people that doesn't even listen. Sorry. Yeah, I know. Hello, mama. People complaining in the casino, just leave. How about the current situation? Very true. Okay, let's try and stay professional. I'll go through the comment section later on. All right. But yeah, when the good trades, you know, happen, I don't get any love, you know, and I have to say, we should really do a video track record on the live streams, and we're going to count them all. We're going to count all of the setups that we talk about. And then, of course, you know, create just a track record on the video setups on the live streams, right? And having a major resistance on the higher time frame does not count as a setup, right? The setups are intraday most of the times, right? Not just because we are hitting a major resistance on the higher time frame doesn't mean we can't ever break it. So anyway, let's dive in right away, guys. My bad on that, but it had to be real here, right? You need to stay real, right? No sugar coating, right? You can't sugarcoat when we you know, talk about the scenarios. I did say that this was resistance. Anyway, enough is enough. Let's go. Hello everybody, much love to everyone. Make sure to destroy the like button. I'm not sure how many likes we do have here. You know the like button. Oh, 200 likes almost. Let's go. Okay, you do a great job along with Devil in the Legends community. Devin Hood, thank you very much. We do try. Okay. I can't get enough of this show, honestly. Milan, can we check the liquidation map, please? Camilla, we can do that for you right away, my man. We can do anything for anybody here, right? Yeah, interestingly enough, right, liquidation map, depending on, you know, how long you're looking at this, we still have some nice liquidity above 100K, right? We're getting into that round psychological 6-digit number, 100K, which we are just a few $100s in hitting right now. And yeah, we do have a bunch of liquidity still to the upside. So there is people interested in shorts. I'm myself interested in short positions, and I really want to get into a short, guys, okay? I would have got into that short yesterday and I would have got stopped out, right? Need to keep it real here. We did get that reaction. if I would have been awake, I would have attempted that, you know, SFP from that major level. But that's a, you know, that's a tiny stop loss. We just slightly got above it, about $10, $20, and then rejected about, you know, $600, $700, and then it blasted off, right? So anyway, let's focus right now. We are above major levels. It's very hard to really monitor this movement to the upside. And even though we are going to do so, you know, what are the different options that we do have with this move, right? Are we developing here a massive expanding fifth wave? Because it has to be, you know, a possible fifth wave, right? And that it's just expanding to the upside. What are the major levels of resistance that we do have above us? Because on yesterday's stream, we said, you know, if we get back above this zone, I don't know how high we can go, guys, right? I don't know how high we can go if we get above this naked point of control and daily level. Well, we do have some very strong specific levels here, right? Would have this been a good long position for the price of Bitcoin? There's, you know, local volatility movement internally here. Well, we're gonna zoom out here ever so slightly, and then we'll dive in here on the lower time frame. Let's try and find out here what are the major levels of resistance. Price is just pumping. Let's go. When we do take a look at the volume profile of this entire range since 2024, you know, we broke it, guys. We broke that point of control. We're just rallying here to the upside. There's really not much resistance. There is a cheeky high volume spike exactly at $101,800, right? So we could call this, right, just a high volume node. We're going to build up the levels here, guys, and you know, come to the conclusion on higher time frame, right? You know, we're going to say high volume node. High volume node right over here from this price action of 2024 and 2025. Now let's take a look here if we do have any other levels. We do have a monthly level, okay? Anybody that's not aware of a monthly level, they are usually pretty damn strong, okay? That's the month close and open that we do have here from, what months was it? It was December and January. Sorry, my bad. January and February. We do have a monthly level there, right? Monthly level right over here, exactly at, let's see, exactly at 102,360, depending on what exchange you're looking at. So there is a monthly level all the way up there, right? We're not too far away from hitting that area. Do we have any dailies? Any daily levels? We do have a daily level ever so slightly below that zone. And what we also have is our next big major fib level, and this is higher time frame. This doesn't mean we hit the level, we all go short together, right? Just as the analysis from the last few days, this is not a short signal, right? This is just realizing where we could get a reaction, where we did get a reaction, right? Anybody can take it as they wish. But the next big major cluster level is actually at $102,000, right? Even slightly below $102,000, where we have the daily and that high volume node, right? That's the next big major level. When we take into consideration Fibonacci retracement from all-time high to the pivot low of April at $74,000 range, right? That's the next big major level of resistance. We're going to talk about the support levels and also possible intraday long setups, okay? But we want to be a little bit cautious depending on how the price comes down to us. But we're going to talk about the longs and the shorts, okay? Intraday on the 15-minute time frame, as we do every single day on the channel, okay? We're just doing an overview of what big levels we do have of resistance and levels of support. Of course, levels of support, you would use the previous month highs, the point of control, right? All of this should be a good zone of support. It doesn't mean we need a bounce and get up here. We could, you know, slice the level if we have a massive sell-off, right? but it should be the higher time frame level of support, right? Try and flip this zone as support. And that's when we're going to zoom in, right? And analyze the intraday setups. So the biggest level of support that we do have here is the previous month highs, previous week highs, sorry, my bad. Okay, the point of control, you know, this could be a possible area where the price does find support and maybe gets a bounce, right? We ain't going to do the drawing here because people might just randomly long at that level, right? And the biggest level of resistance is sitting in between 101,300 and 102,300, where we have the monthly level. And we also have the 7/8 Fibonacci, right? Very well respected fib level, right? We do know that. From all-time high to the pivot low. So that $101,000, $102,000 zone, it is a reaction zone, right? It is a level where if the price manages to get up there, which is only $2,000 away, the price could start getting a little bit of dancing momentum, right? It can dance around in that zone, just like we danced around here at the golden pocket. We had a little dance, right? And we even danced to the downside, golden pocket from the high to the low. It doesn't mean we're going to short down here to $74,000. You know, people misunderstand the levels of resistance and support. They might think, oh yeah, because this is that, you know, then we, you know, that's it, bear market, right? No, you know, it's just a level of reaction, right? Level of reaction where the price could start consolidating. And in that consolidation, you can look for some trading setups. So higher time frame levels of resistance based on confluence, monthly level. There's a daily level. There is the 7/8 Fibonacci from all-time high to the low. You got a high volume node when you consider 2024 and 2025 price action. There it is. We got that high volume node exactly where we have all of that confluence. 7/8 monthly, right? There's a lot going on here. So the $101,000, $102,000 level, higher time frame level of resistance, and higher time frame level of support is, you know, basically the point of control of this entire range, right? If we break through this zone, you would expect the price to try and maintain this zone, which is around about $96,800, right? Give or take, depending on what exchange you're looking at. So that is pretty clear on the higher time frame, right? Level of resistance, still far away from that level. That's boring. Let's go intraday, right? Level of support, keeping it simple. Let's talk about the lower time frame where we have the meat and potatoes, guys. Meat and potatoes is in the lower time frame, right? That's where we look at the possible scenarios, right? What could happen? You know, where do we have a possible trading setup, right? We try and keep it professional. We try and keep, what is a realistic, scenario here to look for a short or a long, right? Woo. Okay. Let's go. Old daily level, we can get this off the chart. Nobody cares about an old daily level anymore when you break it. We could leave it on the chart because it could flip as support, right? We also had that naked point of control, which is at 98,300, right? It was a very small high volume node from this price action that we had. We had a little consolidation here. You need to consider a zone where you do get that order block, right? You get a little consolidation. You always need to get, consider them as a possible resistance zone, right? That's where we had that high volume node from that consolidation back in the 21st and, 20th and 21st of February. Could that zone, act as support if we come down there, right? We're gonna have to use a little bit of our Elliott wave, magic here to see if it would make sense to come down there and bounce. Okay, so we're gonna really zoom in on the 15-minute time frame. 15-minute time frame. Is it time for 15-minute, or do we need to stick to the 1 hourly first? Right? You might say, well, you tell me. You're the one that's analyzing this. You tell me. Do you have doubts? Of course I don't. Of course I don't. So let's go through the 1 hourly and then we'll zoom in on the 15-minute. This movement to the upside that's got me very disturbing here. It's just absolutely rocketing you know, I'm starting to come to the conclusion that, holy moly, you know, is this a double 1-2 and we're just going to absolutely rocket to all-time high already in a third wave? You know, these are very, very shallow 2 waves, and we're just going to, it's moon mission, guys. Moon mission, and it's up only. Well, we are interested in the intraday setups, right? But it is definitely a zone that we want to be a little bit cautious in being too bullish for all-time high. The trend is up, guys, and if we can find a long opportunity, we will get into the long at least to revisit the highs for the TP zone, right? We are uptrending. Nothing is telling us that, you know, there's a sign of weakness. A lot of movements here, looking very corrective. You know, this is the beauty, right, of analyzing these structures. Even though we talked about the higher time frame level of resistance here, I'm going to talk about this all week, guys. I'm going to talk about it all week. We talked about this, so I'm going to talk about it when it's broken, right? It broke the level. I need to talk about it all week, guys. I have to say I was wrong. Could I say I was wrong? I mean, we did get the reaction. It was not, you know, in no means it was a get into a short bear market, right? But the beauty on the lower time frames, anybody that was paying attention here throughout the last few weeks, except for those 2 haters that I have that are just saying I'm wrong. We're not paying attention here through this local time frame. I could have got the videos ready up and ready, guys, because there was many long trading setups on live streams. You can check them out for yourself, right? If you do take a look at the previous streams of last week, analyzing every single movement to the downside. And this is what we're going to do now, guys, to really come to the conclusion. Is it going to be worth getting into a long position if we get a pullback? So we're going to talk about what we need to see. What I need to see, right? I need the price action to form something that makes me confident for the long position or the short, right? I need the price action to develop and, you know, I need to find something, right, that I say, okay, this is a clear long position. I like this movement. We got a nice big impulsive move up. If we move down in a 3-way structure, I understand that my invalidation is the golden pocket here. We got good support the previous week. Naked point of control that got the breakout should be flipping as support. So with that information, I can map the situation and give a high probability trading setup. Most importantly, with good risk management, a good clear invalidation, right? That's what we do. Can't make this up, guys. It's on stream. So that's what I need to see, right? I need to see some things develop here that we are going to be talking about, you know, from this local price push to the upside. When I do understand this major rally, considering the structures of the market of any chart, right? Any asset, is the momentum that we got here in this move, right? It's already moving very 5 wavy. And this is the moment that everybody gets extremely bullish, or maybe everybody gets bearish, guys. This is the thing, right? Expect the unexpected. Of course, the price could really shoot up from here, right? You know, it's just a zone to be cautious about on people getting into swing long positions. We will talk about longs, but they're intraday, right? They're longs to look to get a move to 98, right? If we break through, then you can maintain some of that long, collect some of the more profits as we move up. But it's a moment of being a little bit cautious, guys, because we've had an awesome rally throughout April and May, which is moving very, very 5 wavy. And the thing is, a 5th wave could be an expanding 5th wave. 5th waves could be expanding. They could be, you know, almost twice the length of a wave 3. You know, this is the issue with the 5th wave. 5th waves could be smaller than the 1st wave, right? 5th wave can be extremely small. and start rejecting from here. It can be extremely long and, you know, and then reject. So this is not giving me any, you know, it's just a moment of saying, okay, remain cautious right now. Anybody that has been in long positions, especially throughout the last 1 to 2 weeks, you know, wants to consider taking profits at the highs here. We could move higher. You could leave some of the position open without a doubt, but it's a moment to be cautious for a possible pullback. Now, of course, like as mentioned, you know, I'm not helping here because I'm saying that a fifth wave could extend. Fifth waves, you know, there could be no limits for a fifth wave also. And already the third wave, if we're considering this the third wave, is larger than the first wave, giving full green light for the fifth wave to go to 200K if it wants, right? Staying real, that's unlikely to happen. But, you know, if the third wave would have been smaller than the first wave, then you can really say, okay, this should be topping out, right? Fifth wave cannot be larger than the third wave, because the third wave is shorter than the first wave, right? And then, I mean, that's really looking at the different scenarios here. But so we you know, understanding this movement, there's green light for the fifth wave to continue, as long as it's looking very impulsive, right? And it is. There's no sign of weakness. We're getting above all of these levels of support that we had yesterday. Well, basically 83,300. So as long as we're above this level, you know, our next big major zone to get a reaction, not rejection, get a reaction, is in between 101,500 and 102,500, where we also have the 7/8 Fibonacci from all-time high to the pivot low of April. That is kind of the next big resistance where the price could start dancing around, right? And maybe reject from there, or maybe just consolidate. So now let's just zoom in on the 15-minute time frame, because it's about time, and analyze the push up that we've had from the lows. This push up to the upside from the lows here, and what we can identify, right, based on this movement. As we do not have much resistance, I have to say, this could just follow through to the upside, right? It could just really follow through here, and you're just making a very, very large expanding fifth wave. Because, you know, when I do take a look at the 15-minute time frame, yesterday we were speculating on a fifth wave to take out the highs. This fifth wave does not want to stop for the moment, right? So it's just going to higher levels. So what do we need to see here? What do we need to see here based on the, you know, local intraday setups, just like this beautiful one here for that long position that we talked about yesterday, right? What do we need to see? Well, as I do realize that the price could just continue grinding to the upside, I need to see some kind of a corrective structure. We're going to talk about the levels of support, okay? If the price does not get any correction or any move to the downside that we can identify as a corrective move or an impulse, you know, I don't have enough information here. You know, then obviously the speculation is we just continue here, forming internal waves and grinding to the upside till we actually hit the next big zone of resistance. And then once we form a range or a corrective structure, then we can look at the internal trading setup, right? But what I need to see to identify that possible long or short trading setup, and short trading setup, there's no clear short trading setup, of course, with this movement to the upside. You know, just grinding here to the upside very aggressively, and it would be nice to see some kind of big rejection with a 5-wave impulsive move down, right? So the beauty of yesterday of having this 3-wave move to the upside, hitting the 0.88 Fibonacci from this pivot high that we had on Friday to the pivot low, I understood that this could be a third wave. We do have lots of support here at $96,000, and we moved down and we got this bounce. If we form a lower high here, I understand where we can bounce and get that movement to the upside, as I provided yesterday on the stream. So we had this information here. For the moment, there's no big major information of weakness, right? So let's just dive in right away here with this local price action. Would I have said that this was a good long position on the lower time frame? We're going to identify a few things here, guys, so make sure to bear with me here, because I'm going to talk exactly of what I want to see here on the price structure to get into that trading setup, right? Regardless, for a long or for a short, it doesn't matter. Of course, the market is heavily uptrending, so we want to think of, okay, I want to get into a long, right? I want to ride this momentum. If we're going to head up to $102,000, I want to get into a long. Come on, market is uptrending, trend is your friend. So we want to try and identify a long position so far if we don't see a sign of weakness, right? Anybody that was paying attention on yesterday's stream, possibly got into a long position here, which was the long setup, right? So we want to try it. And what's the next long, right? Or what's the next short? For the moment, for a short position, it's not looking too great for the shorters out there, right? We need to see a little bit of a sign of weakness. We need to see a bit of break of structure and some pretty aggressive moves to the downside to start seeing that sign of weakness. And it's extremely simple to understand. What's going to be the danger of the people wanting to long the next pullback? If it is going to be an impulsive move down, and then what happens if it is an impulsive move down? You're going to get people longing the pullbacks and longing the pullbacks, right? There is going to be that moment, guys. Be ready, because this is going to happen at some point where the massive greed and bullishness is inside your veins, and there's going to be a moment where the price is just going to be pulling back, and people will just want to long the pullback, and it ends up in a big impulsive move to the downside. And the price moves down faster than it moves up. So I'm just here to protect the people and trying to identify what is going to be a pullback corrective structure to re-get into a long position, which we can identify very well and successfully here. But you need to pay attention, because there will be that moment where people will be longing the pullback, and it's like, holy moly, oh my God, what's going on? And people that don't know what they're doing, they're just going to be adding to the position or doing some of that nonsense, right? And getting wrecked. We need to be very specific on where exactly is the trading setup. It's not all about, long every pullback or short now because it's going to roll over at some point, right? No, it's not like that. The trading setups are very specific, and we talk about the stop losses, and they are backed by technical analysis, proper technical analysis and levels. All right. And we are here to win, right? We are here to win. We're not here to lose. Right? So we can't just give any random longs or shorts, right? We need to be very, very good with our setups, right? And this is going to be interesting right now, because I like this rejection, and this is going to give us a bit of information, right? This movement down will give us some information, and we've got some levels here to really understand the structure. So let's start off with the movement to the upside that we started from Tuesday, and map the situation so we can come to the conclusion, right, on what could be the best trading setup here. And I know, guys, lots of people are going to say, I can't take it anymore, right? Trading is all about planning a trade, a very good trade setup, right? If it loses, You move to the next one. Tomorrow's another day to analyze the local structure. So let's go from the local move to the upside. Does this look impulsive or does it look corrective? That is the main question. How can a move to the upside look corrective? If, you know, we're moving up, man, wake up, right? We're moving up. We're going to go to much higher levels. There is one cheeky scenario that, depending on, and you know, this is just scratching the 100, you know, the 6-digit, guys, the psychological number here. We either front run it, we either smash through it. I don't think that it's going to reject exactly at the 100K levels, right? Or we either break it or we front run it. I don't think there's going to be any type of dancing here at 100K. You know, it's a very emotional level. 100K, guys. 100K. 100K. So, yeah, this is, you know, I think, you know, a front run is possible. It's all depending on the information that we do get. So, first of all, you know, we did talk about some flat scenarios, right? Anybody that is, you know, has a little bit of knowledge on Elliott wave theory, is the flat scenario still valid, right? And it doesn't matter of getting into a short at the extreme high, guys, okay? Or, you know, it doesn't matter. If we were to roll down from here in the next couple of days, there will be a moment where you can short later on, okay? But we're going to have confirmation. We need confirmation of weakness. And I'm going to explain how we can detect that, okay? So, first of all, is the flat scenario valid? Can we consider this a 3-wave corrective structure? And this movement to the upside, a 3-wave corrective structure? I have to say, it is possible. It is possible, right? We are at the limit area for this to be an ABC flat. You know, believe it or not, you know, it is still a possibility. And you're going to be like, oh my God, here he comes again with his bearish scenarios, right? This dude, man, here he comes again with the bearish scenarios. I can't believe it. Price is pumping in front of his face and he's still talking about bearish scenarios. We're just talking about it's possible. It's a possibility. Understanding that, what, you know, why would it be a possibility? Come on, you know, the price is pumping in front of your face, man. This dude needs to get some sleep or stay, you know, stop smoking some of that crack that he's got in, you know, in his garage. You know, analyzing this movement up, just taking into consideration that there is a way of counting this as a 3-wave structure up, and that you are at the limit area of your B wave target zone, which is the 12361382 Fibonacci, you need to consider that it is still a possibility. 12361382. There is a valid count here on a 3-wave structure. Does that mean that we all short together here right now? No. Of course not. We need some information, and this information that we need is what I'm going to explain right now. If we want to consider that the price could reject aggressively to get down to the lows here. But we're going to give it, you know, there's a valid scenario here for this to play out. But we need information. And that information is going to be explained right away. And of course, we're going to talk about the bullish case as well, okay? Don't you worry. We'll be talking about the bullish case. We talk about bearish and bullish, okay? But there's a valid scenario here for that movement. I ain't going to go too specific on the wave counts here, but you have a zigzag move up here, a zigzag move down, and you can count a WXY movement as well in this structure, which is a zigzag move up, little correction, and another zigzag move to the upside. This is why If we take these highs, then I would be saying, okay, then that scenario really decreases probability right now and you just don't want to even consider it. But I'm not interested in the short right now here based on that speculation. This could be completely wrong analysis. You know, it's just a possibility. How can you identify that that is going to happen? Right? Well, you need the first initial sign of weakness, which would be a solid rejection. It would have to be a solid move to the downside in a 5-wave structure. You need one of those explosive waves like this one over here. You need an explosive wave to the downside that completes a 5-wave structure. There's no more to it, right? Trying to identify the highs here and getting into shorts is not the way, especially when you don't have any confluence areas. So you know, we need to wait for that sign of weakness. And the sign of weakness is clearly getting a strong rejection to the downside with a very strong move, preferably in your 3rd wave. You know, similar to this movement that we had yesterday, but to the downside. That's when you start getting, okay, hey, the price isn't looking that great now, right? And you know, this could be a sign of weakness. So just so you are aware that this is a possibility, and it does not mean that this is the prediction that I'm making that we are going to form that ABC flat. It's just considering that it is a possibility. And if it were to be an ABC flat, I can tell you how the price action will move. You will get one strong first leg to the downside and an initial bounce up. Inside of this movement, you will find an explosive 5-wave move to the downside, where most will believe that this is a bullish corrective move and that you are going to take these highs and you're heading up to 101, 102, you name it. And they will long here, long on the momentum. And this would be an area to really identify that short position. You want to get into that bounce, identifying that it is a corrective structure, and you want to be in that 3rd wave down, right? You want to be in the 3rd wave, the explosive move to the downside here. Of course, I need this first rejection. I need the first wave down here to really see, whoa, this is looking pretty aggressive, right? And most will believe that it could be a correction, and you are going to get that bounce, which would be that kind of bull trap. Okay, so this zone would be my only moment that I would be interested in the short position. I don't have any big major levels of resistance. The market is looking extremely bullish and could continue to $101,000, $102,000 in the next 1 to 2 days. We're going to talk about the longs right now, okay? But just to really, map the situation on what we need to see here, for that rejection, right? And a rejection right now seems like unreal, right? Why the hell are you talking about a bearish case scenario where the price is ripping, man, in front of your face? Wake up, right? You just need to consider it, right? You just need to consider it if there is a valid count and what you need to see to identify that, that sign of weakness, which we don't have. So as we don't have that sign of weakness still, then uptrend to continue. Now that is considering this movement to the upside as a 3-wave move. That is considering this movement as a 3-wave move. However, you can count this movement to the upside as pretty explosive, right? Impulsive move, which your 5th wave is really extending here very, very strongly for the moment, right? Which is from the lows of Tuesday. We got that nice movement, then the explosive move. You got your nice long 4th wave, very classic, and now you're just extending here with your 5th wave. Now, there is a problem here on the shallow pullbacks that we do get, okay, for a long position. There is a problem with the shallow pullbacks that you could get that 5-wave move, get a bounce, and then form a slightly larger corrective move here. When you have a possibility of a finished impulsive move to the upside, then you really struggle here and saying, okay, I'm getting into this pullback, right? Anybody that missed out longs throughout the last few days, this is going to be a little bit tricky to get into local long setups, right? Unless you're doing intraday setups and you're just happy to long the VWAP, for example, right? Maybe VWAP is going to get that reaction and get a little bounce of a few $100s. But I'm looking at the general structure here of the 50-minute time frame of what could happen between today and tomorrow, right? So of course the price could just continue grinding up. Nothing's telling me that this has to stop or start correcting. This might just do this. It's uptrending. There's no sign of weakness. So what we want to identify is on the next movement that we do get to the downside is either going to be corrective or impulsive. I want to see this, not these shallow pullbacks, not all of this noise over here, because this is just, this is just a bunch of noise in this area. I want to see a solid move like this, just like this one yesterday, right? We had the bearish one, which would have been breaking down, and the bullish one, which is this level holding our support and just continuing the uptrend momentum, right? Which was the one that played out, right? Because here we have information. Here we have a low. Here we have the low. Here we have the movement up. We got a pretty explosive move up here. Okay, this is looking pretty good for that kind of bull flag, in a 3-wave corrective structure to get that bounce back test, that point of control from last week and the 50% Fibonacci. So you do have information, you have data to and especially considering the uptrend momentum, right? Nicer to get into longs when you're getting these kind of corrective structures. So when we do take a look at the local price action, this is just like an unstoppable bull at the moment, right? It's just shallow pullback, claim the highs, shallow pullbacks, claim the highs, shallow pullbacks, claim the highs. I'm not really that interested in these local movements, right? Because the one that I get in, the price is going to get a deep pullback, right? This is like the classic, right? When you don't have a plan and like, I'm going to get into the first little small pullback, you might catch one. But the moment you decide to get into that long based on the FOMO momentum to the upside, you'll get into the pullback here and then the price will just get the proper movement down, right? And you're like, damn, I got into the long position here too late. So we need that kind of pullback that will give us the high probability move. And the problem is right now that this pullback, we cannot expect something like this and be so easy, right? And bounce at that daily level, naked point of control, easy peasy, right? We got it. Previous week high maybe. Yeah, previous week high is slightly lower, right? So it ain't gonna be that easy, right? Ain't gonna, that we're gonna get this, and then it's like, oh yeah, perfect, very similar to this. Let's all long, right? At the support levels, previous week high, daily, daily level, all daily level that could be back tested, and then just long, right? Every single pullback. The main reason why I don't think it's going to be that easy this time than this one is because we have a possible completed structure or very end, very close to the end of completing, which is considering the rally that we had since Tuesday's lows. And as we have a completed, right, very possible 5-wave move to the upside, these local shallow pullbacks, you know, in my opinion, are not going to be that easy to get into a long, right? Because I would expect a larger move. You know, I'm already considering all of this movement that we've had in the last 2 days, you know, a one wave, right? This is a big movement to the upside of over $6,000-7,000, you know, and it's a possible, it's possibly going to come to an end very soon. And it's not only going to shallow pullback, right? There will be that moment that the pullbacks will not be that shallow, and you will get a, you know, more aggressive pullback. Okay, so it's just understanding when that could happen. And I understand that, I mean, yesterday was another story. Yesterday we had a different story, right? The charts gives us a story. Yesterday we had this story. We had 1, 2, 3. 3-wave structure, yeah, bring it on. You know, 4th wave, we claim the highs. You know, yeah, you know, this is a valid setup. You got some levels to back test here. This looks good. When we do have this next wave up with the information that we have today, yeah, then you know, 3-wave structure here to the downside. You know, what levels do we have to back test? Well, we have, you know, the previous week highs, which is this one. It could be a resistance support flip, keeping it easy for the basic, you know, traders out there. Could be just a simple backtest of that level and you get the massive bounce. I'm a little bit more technical and I'm a little bit more specific on where I want to get into my trading setup. And when I understand this entire move that we've had in the last 2 days, I understand that once this decides to get a larger pullback, it could, you know, be looking like something like this, right? It could be a little bit more aggressive. You're going to start longing here, or, you know, you're going lower, get the bounce, then okay, this is it, and then, you know, you just look for that 3-wave corrective structure. If it's not going to be an impulse down, right, which that would not be looking too good. But, you know, at the end of the day, what I'm saying here is we need a larger 3-wave move, just because we've had a massive rally here to the upside. If you want to get into some long positions here at the local lows, you know, to revisit the highs, you got some nice little scalp long setups if you want to attempt the small little pullbacks here, right? Even VWAP hasn't been revisited here. But yeah, this is really not my game at the moment. Okay, so let's talk about the possibility of the price not taking out this high, right? If we do not take out this high, just like we did yesterday, guys, we were running up here and we missed that high and it rolled over. It does look like it's going to be taken, right? We're uptrending, right? The price is more bullish than gold at the moment. But if we do analyze this movement, we just ever so slightly formed a lower high right now, right over here, you know, hitting the 7/8 Fibonacci, almost the 0.88. We probably tapped the 0.88 already here with this movement up, which eventually would be bringing more probabilities to take out the high at some point. Yeah, just a big move up. Yeah, let's just talk about this scenario here, which could be interesting because you have your first initial wave from yesterday's lows and a consolidation. Could this be the third wave still on the formation, and we need to form that fourth wave? This is still the third wave. We got the fourth wave on, you know, bubbling up here. If we formed a lower high, then moving down to the VWAP could be an option to speculate on one more leg up here. It is possible. Fourth waves are well known to be the longest waves out of the corrective waves. So when we do analyze the wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, the wave 4s are usually longer in time than your second waves, 2, 3, 4 times. So could it be possible that after breaking out here, and we're looking at this to be your 5th wave, you know, we're still in that 4th wave, right? This is still going to be a long, you know, corrective move, and then we move to the upside. Well, if that were to be the case, we do have the previous week highs which cannot be hit. Let's take a look at the pivot low. So this is what we're mapping here on this scenario, guys, okay? Because I know everybody must be bullish. Everybody's like, you know, let's talk about longs, right? Let's talk about longs, forget the shorts. We need a lot of information for the shorts, and we don't have any big resistance, so we could just really go up to $101,000, $102,000 in the next 24 hours maybe, right? There's really not much resistance here. So what would be a good pullback? What would be a good re-entry for a scalp long to take out the highs? You know, that's what we're trying to come to the conclusion here. So what I'm trying to map up here is this. Could this be that we are still in that 4th wave formation? And if we, you know, because on the 3rd wave, starting from this pullback, we do have the leg up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And potentially you're still in that 4th wave. I mean, well, maybe the 4th wave has finished and you're starting your new 5th wave here to the upside, right? We're just continuing to the upside. Maybe this was it. 4th waves can be very, very shallow. Pivot low to the pivot high of 3rd wave, 236, which is a valid count for your 4th wave, already hit, got supported. Price is too bullish, up we go. What is interesting is, regardless if we do form a lower high here or we take out the high and it double tops, we need to consider a flat. Why not? We need to consider a flat. And if it were to take out the high and double top and move down, we're eventually interested in a long position at certain levels of support. So the session VWAP would be lying ever so slightly above the 382, but it could have that fake down, right? Fake down. And what is interesting about the 382 from this pivot low to the pivot high, and this is just an idea, guys, right? This is just looking at a long setup to take out the highs and continue up, is the 382 is where we have a higher low right over here. So it's all about creating that plan. So from yesterday's corrective structure, we got that movement up, bang. Then we got the continuation momentum to the upside in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This could have been the 4th wave already, hitting the 236, and we could get continuation to the upside very easily here. There's no resistance. Maybe this was the 4th wave. But if we were to double top here, you know, we need to be a little bit cautious. You know, I would treat this level, the 382, as a swing failure pattern level, right? And, you know, the worst case scenario would be the 50% Fibonacci at 98,350. So, yeah, these two major levels. But we're getting the breakout right now. Here we go. So maybe we do just follow through here, or it might double top. If it does not double top, then we're just looking at this to still expand, right? $100,000 has been hit officially just now on the stream. You might, you know, this is the thing when we are forming this momentum, you know, if you could get that volatile move where you just get a quick shakeout, I would consider still this a possible flat. The only level that I would be interested in the reaction, there we go, we're getting a bit of that double top right now. the only level that I would be interested in for that long position is the 382 and the VWAP. Okay, 382 would be crossing the VWAP, sweep of the lows, and this is just considering the ABC flat to then get another push to the upside. And if we do not get down here to the lows, then we are still continuing this momentum to the upside, which is, you know, still could be very much that fifth wave here locally. And it's just pushing through another $1,000, $2,000. Now, we want to be a little bit cautious on the longs as well, right? You know, when, you know, there will be that moment, guys, that you get that aggressive drop and it will just cross through all of the levels, right? I know it seems like impossible right now when you get this bullish momentum, but, you know, there will be a moment where the support no longer becomes support, and the next support and the next support, you know, no longer becomes support, right? It just, you kind of get the big corrective move down at some point. So you want to be cautious right now, longing as well at the highs. Just understanding the breakdown situation, right? You just want to be a little bit cautious on your longs, and if your levels fail, you don't want to be part of the game, right? If it goes against you very aggressively, right? This is the thing of have your levels, have your plan. In this case, you know, I would enjoy, I would enjoy the speculation of the flat here on a wave 4, but for the moment, it just does look like that. You know, that wave 4 is you know, could be already in here, and we're just going to stretch our legs in that fifth wave. Okay, so I mean, this does count very nicely as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish that that movement here to the upside, and we're just developing that last wave that could go to 101, 102 even, right? Yeah, it's just pushing through here very, very nicely. So there we go. Yeah, it's just pushing through. So no ABC flat. We're just rocketing here on that next wave to the upside. No ABC flat, and up we go, guys. Anybody let me know if you do have any information of what's going on. Holy moly, let's go. Guys, long the top, guys. If you long here, you might as well do okay. Only joking, guys. 100,700 just moving up. 100k and Ethereum 2k. What's going on with Ethereum? Yeah, Ethereum, guys, I just managed to accumulate 5 Ethereum under $2,000. Oh, what a leg here to the upside on Ethereum, guys. I only managed to accumulate yeah, we were talking, you know, we were doing the accumulation on Ethereum below 2k, and that would stop accumulating above 2k. So apparently we, you know, no more accumulation. I only managed to buy about 5 Ethereum on the movement down here as we were losing 2k. But Ethereum does look very, very good, guys. You know, I think most of the investors talking about Bitcoin, guys, Bitcoin's just moving up. There's no more to it, right? When we talk about jumping into another long position, no shorts to be taken, as mentioned. You know, just higher we go, right? Our next major area of resistance is actually sitting between 101.3 and 102.3, which is where we have the daily, high volume node, monthly. There's no sign of weakness. The momentum is very bullish. So there's just no short trading setup till we actually find big resistance and come to the conclusion on the rejection But we, as mentioned on the stream, you know, we need a strong move down. We need a strong move down, and for the moment it is up only. So yeah, I didn't manage to catch any long positions today. No longs, you know, on these retracements. Needed to see something a little bit more juicy, just like yesterday's movement here to the downside. You know, this was a very good long setup. And right now, price is just really ripping with very shallow pullbacks, not even hitting the VWAP. So I didn't manage to get into any long positions on these little pullbacks. I'm not sure if you guys just got into longs and, you know, we just go to all-time high, baby. Let's go. Let me know in the comment section. So yeah, P's. Just remember, most people here were trying to short 88K. When was that? When was that? Maybe most people on the stream yesterday were trying to long 96,100, right? Maybe, right? Yeah, it's pretty funny. We look for intraday setups most of the times, okay? So, you know, even though we talk about resistance, 100K, baby, Mattia, my man. 2 weeks ago, we talked about, yeah, well, you know, I'm going to get all of the streams from this area, guys, okay? Just for these people, just for this guy over here, right? This is one ago, P's. I'm going to get all of the streams. Andy, volume is decreasing on the 4 hourly. Yeah, volume is decreasing, but at the moment, price action leads the way, okay? So price action is very much pumping. But for P's, I will get the streams of the last 2 weeks. And we're going to talk about what we mentioned in the last 2 weeks here in this range, because I can tell you that on the general analysis was not looking for a rollover. It was taking out the highs. And now we'll get those streams ready on the next stream, because you cannot lie about it. You need to pay attention, my man. Okay, all of this analysis in this range was taking out the highs. Even on yesterday's stream, we talked about a long setup right over here to take out the highs. It's there. It's yesterday's stream. It's here. It was the long position talked about yesterday. So yeah, all depending on how you know, I'm not sure if you do listen or not, but apparently not. You probably listened at the resistance video on the higher time frame, right? We're hitting the golden pocket. It is resistance, and the reaction was there. This does not mean that we need to short this level and look for a swing short position, right? There's a lot of swing traders out there that just randomly gets into either lots of longs or lots of shorts. Here we are very specific and technical on what we're looking for every day. This is yesterday's stream. Okay, pay attention. Let's go. BTC acting like the meme coins S&P. Volume is decreasing. What about Trump coin? My goodness, I don't know, but Ethereum, I only managed to accumulate 5 Ethereum below 2K. And that's kind of the swing trade as well, right? When you do accumulate for the long term, it's just buying the asset. But Ethereum actually looks incredibly promising. Any breakdown of this trend, you know, we did talk about it, guys. This is the moment to start accumulating. Get in, start buying, regardless if it goes to 1K or not, because this will reverse at some point. Right, and I think, you know, for me, the easiest way on Ethereum, remember, Ethereum is still the #1 DeFi network out there, with lots of upgrades. This is gonna come out of the ashes, Ethereum, and all of this movement is extremely corrective. You know, this is like XRP, which XRP is in a higher time frame. You know, breakout of a multi-year correction. You know, I hate XRP, but I understand that the price, the chart looks extremely bullish. when we take a look at XRP, the price is incredibly bullish on XRP. Let me get that chart here. That XRP video that I made, my goodness, that didn't get any love at all. No love for the XRP video. My goodness, it got like 2K views. Nobody gives a damn of XRP. But the XRP chart looks incredibly bullish. You know, this is a multi-year correction breakout, and it's in a new cycle here. I hate XRP, but I understand that it's bullish, right? So the chart looks incredibly bullish. I love Ethereum, and I do understand that Ethereum as well is incredibly bullish. Incredibly bullish, just because this was the bull run. This was a massive bull run. Incredible bull run over here in 2020, 2021. And this, for me, is a multi-year correction. I mean, this is going to blow your socks off at some point in the next, you know, give or take, maybe the next few months. Maybe it is starting right now. Because when you do analyze the movement down on Ethereum that it did have, okay, and this is crucial to understand based on accumulation. This is like for the long term, right? Or unless you want to get into a low leverage swing long and add to the position here. You cannot go wrong in longing these assets, right? When they've had such a big aggressive correction, when you're using low leverage. But I just rather, you know, buy some. You know, I would rather just accumulate at these levels, and then you just, you know, leave it there for the future. So much easier. But you know, when you look at Ethereum, what is very interesting on Ethereum is the movement down that we had in the bear market from 2021, right, and part of 2022. And when you do check the movement down that it did have, right, considering Elliott wave theory, it's a three-wave structure. It's a three-wave move down. This in no meaning means that it is a bearish impulsive move down to get massive continuation down in the next coming years, right? So you need to come to the conclusion that this is a multi-year correction, all of it, and that the next leg to the upside, be it this year or next year, will blow your socks off, and it, you know, will very likely reach all-time highs, just because it's in a macro bull run, and all of this is a correction. And you know, it becomes a little bit complex right now, because you would, you know, was this just the correction on a three-wave structure? And this is for long term, guys, so you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens here, right? So the best thing is that you could do is accumulate Ethereum, because there's a high chance that it will reach all-time high, give or take, in the next, you know, 1, 2, 3 years. It doesn't matter, right? Long term, it's bullish. When you understand this this movement down, it's a three-way structure. If this would have formed another low here, then that's another story. You know, then you're like, you know, I don't like this chart too much. But when you look at the movement down, it's been a three-wave structure, meaning that all of this is either a much larger correction. I wouldn't say that this started an impulse here, because you have a 1, 2, 1, 2. You don't have here enough data, you know, 3, 4, 5. You need another 4, 5 here. So you cannot count an impulse here, right? You can't count an impulse. If you would have counted here a solid impulsive move to the upside, right, just give or take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a three-wave corrective structure, which is kind of what we're having, then you would say impulse, correction, wave 2, wave 3. But you did not have an impulse here. So you need to map the situation that you formed some kind of a corrective move. in this area, which you have to have a zigzag, you know, another corrective move here, and then another zigzag to the upside. So you have a kind of a double zigzag forming your wave X. So you know what we're looking at here is a WXY literally on the higher time frame, because you can't see an impulsive move here. There's no multiple 1-2s because you need 4-5s. You didn't get 4-5, so you need to count this as part of a corrective move still. And as your X wave is possibly a double zigzag, what you have here is a flat. What you have here is a flat. You took out the highs, A, B, C. So yeah, in a nutshell, what you have here is a multi-year corrective move. And this is extremely bullish after coming from this massive bull run back in 2020 and 2021. So this is a multi-year correction, just like XRP formed this multi-year triangle that got an explosive breakout. And I hate XRP, but XRP chart looks bullish. You know, I do see XRP going to $5-10, even though I don't like it. But the charts are very, very bullish. So with that conclusion, Ethereum, you know, will recover from the ashes, even though lots of people are like, Solana's better, BNB chain is better, 𝗬𝗍 is better than Ethereum, right? Ethereum is the true decentralized DeFi network that will recover from the ashes, guys. So at these prices, it's a very good bet. This is why, you know, in the last 2 months, you know, we were talking about every Monday buying one Ethereum below 2K. We're above 2K. So, you know, do I consider not buying anymore at the moment? I already have my own Ethereum in my portfolio, which most of it has been bought, you know, in this region. I did buy some here, of course, on the previous cycle and didn't sell enough in the bull run, but I'm happy to hold on to those, for that Ethereum long term, right? So Bitcoin is ripping, guys. Bitcoin is just exploding, right? There's no sign of weakness. Up we go. I was considering selling some Bitcoin, but you know, I think I'm not going to sell any Bitcoin because it's just absolutely ripping here. Very, very explosively. Let me know what Donald Trump did say down below in the comment section, legends. Higher we go. Higher we go. My goodness. You know, this is just no time to stop. We're probably going to go to all-time high today, guys. Right? Imagine. Anyway, let me know down below in the comment section, guys, if Andy, 4-hourly Elliott wave ending diagonal. We're going to go right away through that. Let me know what Donald Trump said with the his announcement, guys, because that did come out, I think, about 2 hours ago, right? Or an hour and 30 minutes ago. Anybody knows what came out of this? Apparently, it's having a massive bullish reaction on the markets, probably on the S&P 500 also. Yeah, S&P is ripping, guys. Also, so that deal has had a bullish effect on the market. S&P, Dow Jones, they're all grinding up here throughout the last hour. Let me know what he did say, guys, because I haven't seen it. Deal with the UK. Okay. Fair trade between UK and USA. Okay. Deal with Great Britain. Seems like it was a good deal. RD says, Andy, BTC 4-hour Elliott ending diagonal. 4-hourly ending diagonal. Let's take a look at that scenario. Anyway, Ethereum, guys, is, of course, you're going to, you know, there's many altcoins to buy up. But Ethereum, in my opinion, guys, you know, this is why we talked about this on the channel in the last few weeks even, right? As we were dropping below 2K, was a good bet to, man, Ethereum is ripping. Holy moly. Ethereum is just going absolutely bananas. Yeah, we just had a few weeks here to accumulate Ethereum. I mean, whoever got into Ethereum accumulation is right now, obviously, you know, in a good position. You know, the recovery could be starting here for Ethereum. The recovery could be starting, because what you could have here is a double 1-2 setup. 1-2, 1-2, and you're exploding out right now in a third wave. And this is just ripping at the moment. So whoever got into Ethereum in the last few weeks, based on the reason of the analysis, you know, this is not a moment to be fearful. This is a moment to start aggressively DCAing, right? This is a moment to panic when you're pumping like this. This is the moment that you want to really stay away. But when you're moving, you know, when you move down, break structure, you understand that all of this is still part of a corrective move. You want to be in the game, right? So somebody talking about an ending diagonal on the 4-hourly time frame on Bitcoin. Let me just clean the chart here ever so slightly, and we'll get into the these scenarios. Already at this, we already at the zone, guys. This is the thing about Bitcoin not hitting a resistance. There was no shorts to be taken, okay, for any people that is not listening, right? There was no shorts to be taken. The momentum was bullish. For us to believe that we do have a shorting opportunity is we need to see some kind of a big pullback in a 5-wave structure, okay, and then analyze the bounce, because we have no resistance till 101,300 and 102,500, right, which is where we have the monthly. And still, this does not mean that we just jump into a short when we're rocketing like this. It's just where the price could start reacting. And this could be the start of a rejection, and then we can talk about shorts. I mean, it's super important, guys, because you know, when we talk about a resistance on the higher time frame, we're going to see people that, you know, we're shorting and we're getting wrecked. No. We talk about the resistance, we talk about the supports, we talk about intraday setups. And this is, you know, one of the intraday setups was this one. And there was an intraday short trade setup that got a reaction. And we said clearly on yesterday's stream, if you get above $98,300, you do not want to be in any short position. It's super important, guys, because people, you know, don't listen, apparently, right? Risk it for the lipstick, baby. Absolutely. Why is everybody shorting a bull market? Who is shorting? That's my question, right? Who is shorting? We talk about the short possible setups intraday and what we need to see for a short. But eventually we are interested in looking for longs. I mean, I didn't manage to get into any long position today with this rally and you know, these shallow pullbacks. You know, we look for intraday setups. Yesterday's long setup was this one. Yesterday long was at $96,000. Today, yeah, we needed a little bit of information today and a little bit more of a pullback. Very, very hard to get into a long position for me anyway, with my style of doing the analysis. But I'm sure one of you brave guys got into a long position just with this pullback and say, you know, screw this, screw the analysis. I'm just jumping into a long, and I'll just have a stop loss here, right? Or I don't know what would be the strategy here. But yeah, for me today was, you know, they're just very, very shallow pullbacks. I would have been interested in that scenario that we said before, right? If we were to get this kind of movement, You know, maybe even getting to this low or hitting the 382 Fibonacci from this pivot low to the pivot high, then, you know, maybe, yeah, it would have been a good level to get into the long position. But with this shallow pullback, for me, it was too shallow to jump in. Maybe some of you got into a long position today. Wherever you longed today, you're in profit, right? Easy, simple. The trend is up. The trend is your friend. You can long anywhere that you're going to be in profit, right? Keep it easy. Keep it simple. Ethereum today was, you know, is absolutely ripping. You know, if you would have longed Ethereum today at any point, you're in the green, baby. I mean, look at this. Just huge, you know, it was a matter of time for Ethereum to just get that major blast off. Clearly in a wave 3 at the moment. Clearly, in my opinion. I mean, unless it would be an expanding 5th wave. But, you know, for me, it would be high probability that you are in that 3rd wave. So you would expect some pretty punchy momentum to the upside. So I'm still long 125x from 94k. Absolute legend. We can't go all-time high from here. Have to make higher low at 88.5k, says Front Pioneer. A lot of people are shorting though, says Suzanne. I'm interested in the short, I have to say, but I am in no short position. I'm interested in detecting what would be the best short. And yeah, we need to see a sign of weakness, you know, but this is just going through the roof. Going through the roof. You know, our next big major level where we could stop, okay, and react, in no means it means jump into a short at this level, is the $102,000 range, which we're just a few $100s away from. But this doesn't mean we need a short here. This only means it's the level where the price could start reacting and stopping, and then get some pullbacks, and we analyze the pullbacks. You know, we might find a sign of weakness where we get a strong impulsive move down, and then, you know, we might get a shorting opportunity throughout the next coming days, you know, down to the lows, right? Just an intraday local setup once we get that scenario. But it's just like this one right over here. We talked about the higher time frame level of resistance here, and, you know, many people thought that I was, you know, jumping into shorts and, you know, getting into short positions just because of this. We study the local time frame, and we really, you know, we really detected that, you know, especially with the leg up that we had yesterday, you know, for this movement up to reject from here and believe that it's going to do this, you know, you know, you do have the flat scenario, but you need a lot of information. You need proper rejections. And of course, with yesterday's analysis, you know, we eventually come to the conclusion that, guys, you know, this is almost taking out this high over here. We had a massive pump to the upside. You know, this is actually a good bullish correction move to get into a long, at least to take out the highs. Right? So by all meanings, right, this, you know, this was the level, a good level based on a technical reason to get into the long position at 96,100. So it was a good technical reason, good risk management. It was backed up by TA. But you might think you don't need TA on a bull market. You can just randomly long wherever you want and just pile into long positions, which is kind of true when you see this movement, right? Anywhere you long today, you're good, right? Why TA? It's a bull market. Let's all long wherever, because we're going to all-time high. Well, you know, that's the thing, right? Anyway, give it up, man. We're going to 120k. I wish, man. I wish, because, you know, I do have quite a bit of Bitcoin, and I would be very happy, right? I have to say, you know, most of my net worth is actually on Bitcoin. So I would be very happy if it were to go to 120K. My short's getting smoked. Yeah, this is the thing. No shorts till we see a sign of weakness, guys. You know, there's no sign of weakness. We're not even reaching, you know, we're probably just hitting that daily level. But yeah, the daily level got the reaction. But by no means this is, I mean, unless you're a sniper trade, the daily level here, but it's not worth it, right? It's worth it if you manage risk. No meaning that you should short here. This is a sniper trade. If you didn't get at the level, then you don't want to get into the short. Long any pullback, right? Keeping it easy and simple. This pullback now, right? This is the question, right? Would you long here right now, right? Would you get into a long on this movement down right now? Right? Where's your stop loss? You know, those are the questions. You know, when I'm looking for intraday setups, we need to create a plan, right? And you know, yesterday's plan was this one. You need to create a plan on a very good level to have a stop loss. But if you get this pullback, would you long right now as you get this movement down? I mean, you're hitting this little order block on the 5-minute, right? So that might get supported. Well, VWAP is very far away. Nice little order blocks. Yeah, let's just jump, you know, just for entertainment purposes, this order block should hold. Let's put the stop loss ever so slightly below the lows here, and we're targeting the highs again. For all of those order block traders. For me, this is, you know, for me, this is not the way on how I trade. But you would assume that nice little cluster would maintain as support, right? For all of those order block traders. We've got a 5-minute order block here, very nice, filled up the inefficiency of this candle. We've got volume strategy, a little bit of volume strategy here. High volume on this candlestick, big volume. Stop loss, give or take. Entry zone. Now, this is not my style of trading, but you would understand that this level should hold as support, right? You're late longing. You're longing the top, my man. This in no means, you know, is my style of trading. That is for sure. I teach other ways of reading the probabilities and the different scenarios. That daily level got rejected. I need to see other stuff here on the chart, which is explained like yesterday, right? We analyze the waves, corrective, impulsive moves, you know, back testing levels of support with confluence with our Fibonacci levels. So yeah, I long the top, noob. Yeah. We are at value area high from the previous cluster. There will be a day where we see 20K pump though. Very true piece. There will be a day that we'll get that volatility on Bitcoin where we're going to see moves of 20K and even 30K in a day. We did have those days. Back on the previous cycle, I do remember on the previous cycle where we did have movements of 10K to 15K. You know, yeah, I mean, all of these movements to the upside, they were pretty aggressive. It did take about 2-3 days to move about 10K. Similar to now, but there will be those days that we do move 20K, that is for sure. You know, we're very near to those days that it with all of this news coming with, you know, Arizona, all these different states getting into the Bitcoin reserve, Texas going to follow next for sure. This is a massive domino effect, and you know, there's a lot of speculation that Bitcoin is the only safe haven, right? It's the only safe haven for all of those countries that are in debt. And you know, this could be a massive country speculation saying that Bitcoin's the only thing here. Our currencies are basically broken and the inflation is massive. And you know, this is why I hold most of my net worth in Bitcoin and not in dollars or euros, because you realize the upside potential, right? The downside risk is it doesn't matter, right? Regardless if it goes to 70k or 60k or 50k, it doesn't matter. The upside potential is what is massive, right? There's really no top for Bitcoin. There's no top for Bitcoin, right? In you know, in the long term, there's no top for it, right? You can bring price predictions of 150k is the top, 120, 200, 500, nobody knows. It could literally skyrocket to $500,000, and you know, whoever doesn't have Bitcoin in their portfolio will eventually feel sorry, right? We look at intraday setups, we look at, you know, local scalping day trading scenarios, but you know, I am a long-term Bitcoin holder, so it doesn't matter, right? You know, regarding, you know, shorts or longs, you know, we talk about intraday setups, levels of resistance, what we need to see for the intraday, you know, possibilities. So, and I wish I would have accumulated a little bit more Ethereum with this leg down. When I take a look at Ethereum right now, I did get a, you know, an average good price here of 1,600, 700, 500 from the last few weeks when we were talking about buying Ethereum, guys, below 2k. I was going to stop buying above 2k, so not buying the pump. Chainlink still below resistance. Yeah, this is the moment of that we might see. You know, what I do fear about the altcoins is, you know, now it should be the altcoins time, right? Now it should be altcoins time to shine as Bitcoin shining, but Bitcoin needs to maintain ground, right? Bitcoin, we cannot afford a massive Bitcoin correction when we are speculating on altcoins to get a major rally, because if Bitcoin at some stage gets a big pullback, right, before hitting all-time high, altcoins don't usually see the love when Bitcoin's in a major movement to the upside. And if altcoins do get, you know, if Bitcoin, sorry, gets a corrective move, the sad thing about it is altcoins do see the correlation to the downside very aggressively, most of them, and they don't see that correlation to the upside too much. So Bitcoin really needs to maintain ground and not get too deep of a pullback for altcoins to really start picking up, right? So yeah, Bitcoin trying to hold that order block zone. Very, very nicely here. Sometimes you just need to keep it simple. Shorting 𝗬cie. I don't know what 𝗬cie is doing, but is 𝗬cie looking bearish? I think 𝗬cie is looking pretty good, right? Oof. 𝗬cie is just breaking up those local highs of April. Unless it does create, if it closes that daily candle below that high, then you could consider that it could be a double top, right? But yeah, this is breaking through here. You don't know how powerful this can be. You know, if it does manage to stretch its legs, I mean, oh, this does look like that it could be an ending 5-wave structure here on 𝗬𝗍𝗍. But the only danger here about this 5th wave is you don't know how high it can go, right? So, but it does look like that, yeah, you could be on that 5th wave. It could be a double top. It could just stretch its legs here a little bit higher. That is the danger here. But yeah, this is without a doubt a finished, you know, starting to get into a finished impulsive move. So you would be expecting that pullback throughout the summer, right? Or late May, once it finishes this leg up. But yeah, it's breaking out from those highs. So if you close that daily candle from today beneath this high, you can consider that pullback, that double top scenario. But for the moment, it's just breaking out from those highs of April. Yes, dangerous for sure, says Suzanne. A couple of years ago, 1,000 link was 1 BTC. Now 1,000 link is 0.1 BTC. What a disappointment. Sergey's belly grew significantly, says Jay Constant. I bought most of my chain link in this bear market. Okay, I managed to accumulate more chain link just because I was still broke in 2018 and 2019. I did manage to accumulate just under 2,000 chain link, and then I managed to accumulate quite a lot here in between this range, which I couldn't stress enough on the live stream that this was the moment to accumulate. It's been a disappointment because I'm only up about 2x on average. It's still good. I mean I'm up more on Bitcoin than my Chainlink. That is for sure. Chainlink's been a bit of a disappointment, but it will surprise. It will surprise at some point. At least coming. It doesn't matter. It's bullish long term. But this was the obvious accumulation point. Because on the channel, we have been talking about many times of, zones of accumulation. We haven't just focused on mainly Bitcoin technical analysis and trading setups. We talk about, this is a good moment to buy, whatever altcoin that I like and I accumulate. Man, there's so many streams here throughout 2022 and 2023. Me saying, guys, I've been buying a bit more Chainlink here, buying more Chainlink, buying more Chainlink. Just such an obvious multi-monthly accumulation zone. And I mean, the returns are not massive, I have to say. It's only about a 2x on average from current price levels. And stopped buying Chainlink in this region, right? Once we were pumping, I was actually looking for this pullback to happen at some stage. You know the story, any legit long follower. And the only latest one throughout the last few weeks was Ethereum. I didn't want to go down onto the altcoin rabbit hole. For me, it was just keeping it simple. Ethereum below 2K, yeah. DCA every week, wherever the price is. 1,500, 400, 600, 1,800, 1,200, doesn't matter, guys. This is zone to start buying up, realizing that the movement down that we had here is not bearish. It's not a bearish move, and what you're looking at here is a multi-year consolidation correction. So you want to you really want to load up your bags when you're moving down. There's so much fear throughout the last few weeks, mainly in April, when we had the stock market crash, right, and all of the tariff stuff, right, and bear market, man, it was absolutely crazy. So you need to maintain, you need to be grounded. Stocks are ripping on the UK trade deal. Yeah, stock market is really taking the rally as well. S&P 500 is, yeah, and also as mentioned, it's a matter of time that the S&P 500 gets back to all-time high. This is not the depression dump, apparently. Apparently, this is not the depression, right, collapse that a lot of people speculate on, right? The markets will crash. We're going to see a depression in the next coming years. Well, apparently this was not it. This was a buying opportunity. And more clear now after seeing this three-wave structure. Same scenario as Ethereum. This is no longer an impulsive move to the downside. It's a three-wave structure. And this V-shaped bounce has overlapped this pivot low, which is already giving a green light for the highs. Very likely to be hit at some point. Worst case scenario would be a double zigzag. But we are very close in invalidating here. Well, not invalidating, but giving low probability for that double zigzag to happen, which is hitting the 0.7 Fibonacci. So what you would be looking at, worst case scenario, is a sideways correction and then taking out the highs at some point. But V-shape overall on the stock market, it seems like that this dump is not going to be the end of the world depression dump, right? Neither this was on the C19 crash, neither this one. It seems like that we will take out the highs again on the stock market in the next coming months, if not weeks, right? If we do get some kind of a V-shape like this one. But yeah, it seems like that new all-time highs on the stock market is on the way, because this is not a aggressive, impulsive move to the downside. It's not the end of the world just yet, guys. We might be saved for a few more years. Another state approval, Bitcoin reserve, Missouri, and no crypto taxes there too. Holy moly. You know, this is, people in these states are going to go all in on Bitcoin, right? It's like the perfect storm. It's going to be the perfect storm, guys. All of this. Missouri right now, Texas, I think, is going to follow in the next coming days. It seems like it is FOMO Bitcoin. Holy moly. I'm not selling my Bitcoin with all of this FOMO. This could really stretch the legs to all-time high very, very soon. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Andy, may I ask, how much are your spot bags and how much do you leverage trade with of your portfolio? Round about 10%. I use for day trading, little scalp day trade setups, right? Intraday mainly setups, okay? Swing trades based, you know, long positions. I would rather look for a swing short position, but the spot bags is the swing trade, right? Most of my net worth is Bitcoin. You know, I hold quite a lot of Bitcoin. So the more upside we get, the better, right? So it's just a long-term thing. But yeah, around about maybe slightly less than 10%. I would say in between 5 and 10% used for intraday setups. Look for trades for $1,000, $2,000 intraday is what I look for. You know, not risking more than, you know, 10% of the entire net worth. That is for sure, right? Between 5 and 10%. But I need to get more into swing trading. You know, I'm going to get more into swing trade. I've had enough with scalping and day trading setups, guys. Seriously, I'm really going to focus on swing trade setups very likely in the next coming weeks, because that's what people like as well. You know, we'll just go long and, you know, long and stay long, and when it's a good swing short, and this is an area where you really want to start thinking of swing short positions, because we will get that information, and I'm going to start getting into swing shorts or swing longs, because I've had it with intraday setups. You know, I don't need to do it anymore. I love it. I might get into intraday setup, but I'm going to be focusing more in swing trading. and show those big positions, right, of 50k, 100k in profits, right? You know, that's what people like to see. I've had it with these intraday $1,000, $2,000 intraday setups in and out. People don't appreciate it. People don't appreciate this. The followers don't appreciate intraday trading when we do. So, you know, people like the flashy stuff. You know, I got many things to flash about. I'm just not like that, right? Do you want to see my watches? Do you want to see how many Bitcoin I have? Do you want to see big swing trades of $50,000, $100,000, you know, in profit? You know, I will have to show, because it seems like people really enjoy the flashy things and they don't appreciate the, you know, very hard work that I put in on looking for specific, you know, high probability intraday setups. You know, people don't appreciate these movements of $2,000, right? They're like, you know, you were looking for shorts, right? You were bearish just because you talked about this resistance. So, and I don't need to intraday anymore. So I am going to swing. I'm going to, you know, I will start looking to get into more swing trading than day trading. Day trading is more my style, but a good trader, a good day trader will become a very good swing trader. I can tell you that. And I can say that I will identify a very good swing trade short position, and I'm no shorts at the moment. And then this is no zone to get into swing longs, right? If you're not in a swing long from lower, then you do not want to get into a swing long here, right? So the next scenario is looking for a big swing short. And, you know, I'll be happy to share, you know, $100,000 in profit on a swing short, regardless of where it is. I'm in no swing short at the moment. I've explained what I need to see to get into the swing short, and that is a proper rejection at certain levels. And we might not get it, guys. You know, we might head up to all-time high, right? And it turns out to be a multiple 1-2, and then this is the third wave up, right? There's been a multiple 1-2 setup, and this is, you know, we've got the perfect storm here. For my swing longs is my Bitcoin holding, right? It's just simple. But we might, you know, this might just explode out. This is maybe 1-2, 1-2, and you just on the third wave here. And you got the perfect storm as you have lots of states, you know, filing up here with this Bitcoin reserve and all getting approved, right? And they just, Arizona already in, Texas next possibly. And especially when you don't have, you know, don't have to pay tax, right, on your Bitcoin. Well, you know, wow, this is the perfect storm for that, you know, exponential third wave. There's just been a multiple 1-2 setup, and you're just gonna, on your third wave, you're breaking out all-time high. I understand that, and I'm not interested in a short position. You know, those people that don't know how to trade, they would just randomly get into shorts here and add to the position. That's not my case, because I look for intraday setups, and I need to find very, very technical, specific movements, you know, and scenarios to get into the trade. But I'm you know, I have had enough of all of this intraday setup, because I don't need to do it, and I will get, you know, I will go more into swing trading, swing trades, which you will enjoy anyway, right? It's the easy way that we're still in the long, guys. We're still longing. We're still longing. Or in the bearish case scenario, we're still short, guys. We're still short. We're still short. But what is the intraday scenario? I will go intraday, guys. It's inevitable that I enjoy doing this anyway for the channel, right? Looking for intraday scalp day trading setups. But I will focus more on swing trades personally myself, because it just takes a lot of time. It's very and people don't appreciate it. I have that feeling that people don't appreciate it. People like to see the flashy big positions, and it's about, you know, it's going to be about time that you do see those big flashy positions. If the people want that, then, you know, you will see it anyway. Yeah, up only mentally. No, Andy, so calm, don't worry, my man. We will still talk about the different possibilities of scalping and day trading scenarios. For the moment, right now, it is up only. We're getting that nice support from the order block here. Nice little order block here. Nice support. I don't really, you know, it's not my style of trading, just order block, but I like the volume strategy. You know, I studied about a volume strategy where you have a high volume node on the movement here, and you do create you know, an order block, and then you have the breakout with high volume. And if you come back down to revisit the order block and the high volume node of the big move, and you know, it's a level 2 to consider a long position. I mean, stop loss is a little bit of a situation here. Well, that's usually where you get support, right? A very, very easy, basic way of analyzing the situation here. But volume strategy, long time since I haven't traded volume strategy, which is very, very, it's a very successful way of trading. I learned volume strategy starting to trade on DAX 30, the German stock market, and it's very simple. It's, you know, on the 1 minute, 3 minute time frame, what you have is a breakout with high volume. You get the corrective move and you follow through with a breakout with high volume, and then the resistance support flip from the high volume, and you targeting the highs. It's just a resistance support flip strategy, but it's followed by volume, right? If you have the trend following by volume, following the trend and following the resistance support flip with stop loss beneath the low of the high volume breakout, right? So it's a very easy and successful strategy. You just need to wait for it to happen, right? We can go just for educational purposes here to try and spot that volume strategy here somewhere in the red, or I'm sure there's one here somewhere. Yeah, I mean, you could really count this as a volume strategy scenario. I mean, this only happened today, right? Where you have the high volume increasing here to the upside, and where this high volume stops is right over here, right? So let's get a box here. High volume stopping right over here. So you get the wick and the body of the candle on the 3 minute or 5 minute time frame, and you extend it, right? You extend it. Once you break the highs where you have that high volume, right? So you're just ranging here for the moment. Once you break out with high volume, and you need the breakout eventually, you need that price action to break, you will likely bounce at this resistance support flip, right? It's just there's no more to it. But if it's backed up with volume, then it tells you that the trend is strong. I mean, you almost hit it right over here. But if you do, you know, you bounced here basically, right? You bounced here. And it's important to have high volume on the highs. It's just a resistance support flip, but it's backed up by volume, right? And that's the volume strategy. It's an incredibly effective way of day trading. And this does work on the stock market as well. You know, I used to trade this in the German stock market. Very simple, easy strategy that works on every asset that has volume, right? You know, let's just find another one here with yesterday's price action. You need the high volume spikes. You need the high volume spikes, and you need a proper trend, right? If you're downtrending and you got volume to the upside, then you want to look for volume to the downside. Obviously, with these movements down, you don't have much volume to the yeah, with this one, for example, maybe the high volume spikes here. Just for education purposes here, guys. There's no proper breakout, lots of wicks. There's no proper breakout here, lots of wicks. Yeah, I mean, there's no volume here. You need follow through with volume. Big volume here, but this breakout didn't have volume. Not a solid break. Yeah, not too many moves with a volume here, unfortunately. I'm trying to look for that volume strategy here on the 5-minute. Just for education purposes here. Yeah, not much of a breakout on this movement. But anyway, it is, you know, there are examples. This is between yesterday and today. The clearest one was, yeah, from today's price action. There was some nice high volume spikes on an uptrend. You get the deal. You need high volume at the highs for it in a breakout with high volume also to literally, you know, back test it and claim the highs. It's only little scalps, but it's very effective and it's very easy. Anyway, let's continue. Learned everything of Elliott wave theory from this channel, much appreciated. Oh man, there's, you know, confluence, volume strategy, Elliott wave theory, harmonics. There's just so many. If you can combine it, then you know you will have a lot of confluence. Sometimes over analysis can create the paralysis, which happens to me a lot when I'm looking for day trading setups. I'm going to you know, it does take a lot of energy and a lot of brain power to come to these different setups here, right? And you know, people don't appreciate this. You know, this is a setup. You know, people just remember you talked about this resistance of the golden pocket and we didn't get rejected, right? We did get rejected. We did get a reaction on the Saturday and Sunday, but people expect a big move down, right? People expect this is it, right? Bear market. And people will remember strongly about this situation. And on the live streams, we like to focus on looking for intraday setups. And I don't get any love because of this. I'm going to become that douchebag that's just going to show you $100,000 profits, you know, in swing trade positions. That's what people like to see, unfortunately. And the hard work on looking at intraday setups is not appreciated, at least on my channel. So yeah, I mean, the decisions have to be made, guys. And for me, I'm learning a lot from you every day, Andy. 10x, chill hills. Thank you very much, my man. Yeah, that like button is lagging behind. Smash it up. Guys, if you do enjoy the, you know, the education and the preparation, right, that there is behind to look for setups. And that's why it's lonely at the top, my friend. Yeah, you know, I got many, you know, I can flash all that you want, okay? But I think it's... Stay humble always. Stay humble. I would rather look like a brokey than a multi-millionaire. Because I've heard many sad stories. Okay, so you always need to maintain your feet on the ground, no matter how wealthy you are, and you need to stay humble. I don't need to demonstrate anything to anybody. I would rather look like a brokey than a flashy, you know, millionaire guys, right? Flashing all that I have. Because I don't like the people that do that, right? So, you know, and I've heard very bad stories as well, which, you know, is just not the way to go, guys. It's not the way to go. Stay humble. You matter, man. Learned a lot from you and here each day. Much love to you, Jorge, my man. Much love to you. Works like charm on a liquid asset, says 𝗖𝗿𝗆. Yeah, the volume strategy, right? Oh, I'm not sure if you were talking about the same thing. Volume strategy on a liquid asset works very well. Legend, Fernando, much love to you. Keep real, Andy. Stay as yourself. Absolutely. There's no money in the world that would change me, guys. Andy, most of us appreciate your setups and invaluable education. There are only a few people who just want to get a call and make money without putting any effort from their side. Yeah, I mean, it's a very lonely world. It's very hard, and Don't let them get to you. We appreciate you, man. Spicy, my man. Spicy Noodle. Much love to you. What happened? Sir, you feel sad today. I did, yeah, my man. I feel great. It just, you know, just taking into consideration, you know, some bad comments. But anyway, much love. But we appreciate your biceps too. Yeah, my biceps. I need to work hard. Need to work hard on the gym. Anyway, legends, you know, not much more here to say on Bitcoin. We just really got that rejection from the daily. You know, for the moment, it is up only. It is up only. No big proper rejection. I mean, we only got rejection at the next level of resistance. I mean, at the beginning of the stream, we talked about the price just continuing to the upside and no short trades to be taken. With the only levels where the price could start getting get a reaction is, you know, this zone over here. First level that we touched of resistance is that daily level at 101.4k, which got a rejection of a few $100s, nothing too serious. We're still very much strongly uptrending. And what we want to see to detect a change of the trend, a possible initial change of the trend to the downside, would be the start of an impulsive move to the downside. For the moment, it looks incredibly strong still. And what we need to see, maybe it starts at this zone of resistance where we have a monthly, we have the high volume node on the volume profile somewhere in this range at 101.8. We have a daily level, which has just got a first initial rejection of a few $100s, nothing too serious. It doesn't mean we short here now, guys. This is a reversal. It's where the price could start getting some reaction, right? To get a confirmation where I would be interested, in this case for a swing short position, right, is get the initial breakdown, get an initial leading move to the downside, which is aggressive with multiple waves. And then the movement to the upside needs to be choppy and three wavy to really believe that we could form a lower high and then get the breakdown. As we are uptrending, eventually looking for longs are in your advantage. And as we get this movement from yesterday, I mean, this is the kind of price action where you realize, you know, even though we're talking about the bearish case scenarios, we understand on the lower time frame, which is your level that you need to consider for the long position. When we analyze the local structure from yesterday, it's still very much impulsive. And this could be your corrective three-wave structure that is bouncing at the 50% Fibonacci, and your invalidation is your golden pocket, because your wave fours, you don't want them to touch the golden pocket. And your long trade is coming all the way up to the highs and maybe higher levels, right? And you know, this is the long trading setup that was mentioned yesterday, understanding the context. We understand the context and where we're at and where the opportunities lie. So yeah, for the moment, like I said, you know, it's just up only, right? There's no major sign of weakness. You know, we're forming expanding waves to the upside. So, you know, overall, it's just no sign of weakness. Where we could start seeing the price reacting, and no means it means get into a short position, because this is where we're going to roll over, is this area of $101,000 to $102,000. This is where the price could start reacting and could get the first initial breakdown, the first initial sign of weakness, which we're going to start analyzing, of course, in the Legends trading community, to think about this could be the top and we could be rolling over from here. Let's look for some short positions. But till this does not happen, we continue to the upside, right? So yeah, anyway, just longed. Yeah, you're absolute legends here. Absolute legends. Anyway, all right, brothers and sisters, much love to everybody, guys. There is a Bybit competition, by the way, going on right now at the moment. It's the Trade Masters Grand Prix. They do have lots of bonuses, right? There's that massive competition up to $500,000. Oh no, even $1 million. And it's 350,000 at the moment. The more people that trade, right, and the bigger the prize is becoming. If you haven't signed up for Bybit, guys, Bybit for me has always been #1. And of course, if you can't sign for Bybit, you do have Weeks, okay, which just requires an email and a password. Yeah, I think this bonus is not available anymore. You probably just get the $30,000 deposit bonus. You got the links down below, okay? If you want to trade there, take advantage of the deposit bonus and also the fee reduction. And if you don't want to trade there, then this is another way to support the channel. If you don't want to, don't use the links. Right? All right, brothers and sisters, take care. We need that sign of weakness. We haven't got it, guys. For the moment, let's just continue rallying to the upside. Much love to everyone. Have a great day. Andy, your work is appreciated very much. Thank you, always providing the kind of education for free. Much love, Christian. Have a great one, legends. I'll see you tomorrow.